My salutations to the Guru, Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. I invoke the presence of Swamiji and Swami Shivananda. Om Hrim Shivananda Hamsaya Vidmahe Paramahamsaya Dhimahi Tanno Hamsa Prachodayat. Om Hrim Shantananda Hamsaya Vidmahe Paramahamsaya Dhimahi Tanno Hamsa Prachodayat. Om. Today I'm not taking any particular song or any particular ashtakam or anything like that. I'm just going to explore the famous stotrams on Saraswati, which we teach children, which are popular, like Yakundendu Tusharahara Saraswati Namastubhyam. Like this, let's just explore the meaning and let us find the Saraswati in those meanings. And also maybe some small anecdotes that are connected, the whole thing. Yesterday I was, to recap for those who didn't come, to recap the concept of Saraswati. She's seen with a veena in a diagonal, and she has the Japamala on the upper right hand and the book on the lower left hand. And I was telling you that the veena is in a slant because the slant denotes the progressive music that we hear for the sensual or the sensory enjoyment, music in the gallery, as opposed to music that is purely for divine communion, for stilling the mind. As I told you, music is a great tool. As when we attend a music concert, we see how people are seated, entranced as they were to the musicians. So that music as a meditative tool, and that leads you to the divine. Like Tyagaraja, Meera, the great saints who sang, they did not sing for a gallery. Their singing was purely for communion. And the music of the gallery is, of course, the great stalwarts of music who play to the gallery, and we also enjoyed that. And how that sort of music would slowly, imperceptibly lead us to soul consciousness. That is why she holds it. She entrances the, she enchants the audience and the musician, and then slowly by slowly she takes us. Also, the idea of intuitive knowledge or jnana as coming from a repeated practice, repetitious practice, reps, as they say, how you gain a kind of experiential knowledge through repeating an action, and bookish knowledge, which is given a lower region, bookish knowledge, which is at the level of the stomach, to, so to say, to, fill the belly up. Then we also spoke about the twin breasts of the Divine Mother, Sangeetam api sahityam Saraswatya stanadvayam. How that, how the music, melody, and poetry are the twin breasts of the Divine Mother. And while music is sweet, Madhuram, the lyrics of poetry is Amritam, which is immortality. And how the sugar-coated sweetness of music and literature draw the soul to enjoy the philosophical ideas contained in the poetry. So these were some ideas that we shared yesterday. And today I would like to go into the verse, Yakundendu Tushara Hara Dhavala, Ya Shubhra Vastravrita, Ya Veena Varadanda Manditakara, Ya Shveta Padmasana, Ya Brahmachuta Shankara Prabhutivir, Devai Sada Pujita Samam Patu Bhagavati Saraswati Nishesha Jadyapaha Nishesha Jadyapaha Samam Patu Saraswati Bhagavati Nishesha Jadyapaha. This verse is a popular verse. Many of you may know it, or many of you may also know the meanings of it, but I thought it's nice to share it. The first two parts of the first two lines, or rather the first line itself, has an obsession about describing the color white. It's almost like a meditation on the color white. As I told you, the color white is a symbol of purity, of the pristine pureness of the soul. That pristine purity, the sattva, the idea that white is a substratum of all color, and that all colors are reflected in white, and that white is the basis for all colors to emanate. It's the backdrop of this entire creation. So she represents the substratum of the entire universe. So the verse says, Ya Kunda Indu Tushara, three objects. Ya is to whom, whose, who. Who is Dhavala, who is white like the jasmine. The simile is three-folded simile. The Rishi has used a three-folded simile. Ya Kunda. Kunda is jasmine. That is like Maligapu, we say in Tamil. Indu is moon. The jasmine, the moon, and Tushara. Tushara is snowflakes or dew drops. Dew drops that in cold climates, the dew drops become frost or like snowflakes only. The idea of frost, snowflake, dewdrop, that idea of the whiteness of. Hara is a garland. So in one way, we can say she's spotting a garland of white jasmines like a moon. But she herself is Dhavala. She is white like the jasmine, white like the moon, and white like snow, spotting a snow white garland of jasmines. Usually the jasmine in most of Sanskrit literature would describe the teeth. Kundaradana Kuvalayana. In Shama Shastri's Kamakshi Swarajati, the first swaram is Kundaradana, like this. So the Devi, Saraswati, her teeth are white like jasmine. But in all the iconography, all paintings of deities, you will never see their teeth. Because like in Natyam, in the Natya Shastra, the showing of teeth is very Adhama characters. That means Bhutaganas, Rakshasas, clowns, people who are mad, people who laugh boisterously, of the lower strata, the illiterate kind of people. They are the ones who show teeth. So you never see, though there is so many descriptions of Lord Subramanya with beautiful teeth, but in the beautiful deities that we see in the temples, none of the deities will reveal the teeth. They never show teeth. Teeth are concealed. Because the beauty of the face is maybe just the sliver, just a thin line, which is like a crescent moon of a smile, just beaming. Tavarum idalil. We say in Tamil, in the poetry, is Punnagai Taval Idalin. The idal is the lips, and the Punnagai, the beautiful smile, is trying to crawl out of the lips. That is the maximum they will show teeth in the poetry. But here we are showing, there's no mention of teeth in Yakundendu, but usually Kunda refers to teeth. And Indu, the moon, refers to face. Usually Purnendu Vadani. So the Devi will have a moon-like face, as we know the story of Abhirami Pattar, where he meditates on her and meditates on the face of the Devi, which is like a full moon. So when these similes are brought together to show white, they could connote or they could suggest her teeth, her face. I'm reading into the shloka. Yakundendu Tushara Hara. She's wearing a snow white and she is white. Dhavala. Dhavala in Sanskrit means white. So beautifully pristine is her face and her teeth, her speech and her countenance. Ya Shubhra Vastravrita. She's adorned by a white raiment, a white sari. Vastravrita. She's wrapped in this beautiful vastram of white color. Ya Kundendu Tushara Hara Dhavala, Ya Shveta Vastravrita, Ya Shubhra Vastravrita, Ya Veena Varadanda Mandita Kara. She is, her hands, her kara is mandita. Mandita means to adorn like an adornment, like a ornament. Her hands are adorned by the dand, the Veena's, what do you call it? The dand means where the frets are. You know, the dand, the where the frets are, the column. That is, her hands are adorned by this. Varaveena, we say Varaveena Mridupani. Varaveena means Shreshta. Vara means two things. Vara could be the boon giving, like Varam in Tamil we say. But Varan also means Sreshtan. Sreshtam. Sreshtam means Sirandadu in Tamil. Shirandadu became Shreshtam. That means the most exalted, the best of best. Vara means the best, the most beautiful Veena, the best of Veenas. The Saraswati Veena is in her hand. Different Veenas are there. Lord Shiva has his Veena, personalized Rudra Veena. Narada has the Mahati. I forget the name of Ravana's Veena. If you know it, you can tell me. They have a name. Every Veena has a name. And then Saraswati, the Veena goes with her own name, Saraswati Veena. She and the Veena are one. So, Varadanda Mandita Kara. Her Kara is Manditam. Like that day we had Kunjaragamane for the Kamakshi. Mani Mandita Manjula Charane. Mani Mandita. Manditam means to be adorning. Adorning her Manjula, her soft feet. Her feet are adorned by Mani, that is the gems. Here, her Kara is Mandita. Her Kara is adorned by the Varaveena, the Sreshtamana Veena. Ya Veena Varadanda Mandita Kara, Ya Shveta Padmasana. She is seated on the white lotus, which we spoke about yesterday, as the lotus of enlightenment, of all knowledge, the all Sarvajna, that is the omniscience of every bit of knowledge. The self-realized yogis, they become one with the Divine Mother. They become one with her. Like the Divine Mother, once they merge into her consciousness, they become identical to her and they also become Sarvajna. The great Adi Shankaracharya, the great Jnani, was given the Peedam, the Saraswati Peedam in Kashmir, the Sarvajna Peedam, that is the seat of omniscience. Because of his self-realized state, he was accorded that seat of omniscience. So when he was given the seat of all-knowing, jnana, the lotus seat of omniscience. After that, he came onto the street and he was walking, and there was a cobbler. A cobbler was sitting on the road, and the cobbler was stitching his chappals. Then the cobbler looked at Adi Shankara and he said, "Sir, they say that you know everything. Do you know how to sew this chappal? Do you know how to repair this chappal?" So with all humility, Adi Shankara said, "Let me try." And he came down and he sat down beside the cobbler, and he sat with his legs, like this, like how cobblers would sit. And he took the shoe, some dirty chappal of somebody, and then he said, "Pass me the needle." Then he put it on his head and on his tongue like that, like how typically the cobblers would do it, and here he has never been seen. And then he carefully stitched it meticulously in perfection. And then he took the pear and he said, I think I've done it correctly, he said. And the cobbler was all in awe. He said, "Sir, I didn't realize that you are Sarvatnya, you know everything." And he fell. He said, "That's okay. It's Divine Mother who is doing everything." In all humility, the great ones will never say that they know everything. They will never ever attribute it to themselves. Because they are always in the Divine Mother's consciousness, they only will attribute it to her. She did this, not me. So that Sarvatnya, that idea of omniscience, knowing everything at every point in time, every field of art and music. I was so surprised to find a book on music as yoga by Swami Shivananda. And he writes about being a dancer. I was so surprised. He wrote about Alaripu, Jadiswaram, Adavus, and in fact, he even wrote the Tam Titam Taitatei, the whole syllables. And he wrote about Rukmini Devi, E. Krishnayar. He wrote the history of Bharatanatyam. He told the philosophy of Alaripu. I showed this book to our Swamiji, and he was so emotional when he saw the book. He said, Gurudev also wrote about dance, Bharatanatyam, like this, Living remotely in Rishikesh, he knew about so many, that is the Sarvajna Peedam, the saints, they sit in an omniscient seat of all-knowingness. And that is the Shweta Padmasana. That Shweta Padmasana is that the 1,000-petal lotus in the cerebrum, the cranium, through which everything in the universe is known. And she sits in that lotus, the white lotus, Shweta Padmasana. Yakundendu Tushara Hara Dhavala. All the beautiful things of the jasmine, the moon, snow, white like this. And in the raiment, the garment of a white sari, Ya Shweta Vastra, Ya Shubhra Vastra Vrita, Ya Veena Varadanda Manditakara. See the Ya Veena Varadanda Manditakara. This is a kind of a internal rhyme. Ya Shweta Padmasana. She's sitting in the beautiful white lotus. Ya Brahmachuta Shankara Prabhutibhir. She, who is always worshipped by Lord Brahma, Achyuta, the indestructible Vishnu, Shankara, Lord Shiva, and like them, Prabhutibhir, like strong and as powerful as from them, Mudaliya, or from them onwards, Devai Sada, all the Devas, Devai Sada Vandita, or Pujita, Devai Sada Vandita. Ya Brahma Chuta Shankara Prabhutibhir, Devai Sada Vandita, Samam Patu, Devi, upon me. You who are like this, when you say Ya, it's like Yasya, Angika Bhuvanam Yasya. Ya means to who? Who is white like the jasmine, like the moon, like the snow, beautiful snow like garland she's wearing, white, pure, as pristine. All the imagery of the jasmine, the moon, the snow, all coalesce into one white radiance. And then in that white incandescence, she in the white sari and holding this beautiful veena in her hand. She is seen like this, and in a white lotus. Then all the gods you see visualize, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and all the devas always bowing at her feet. Sada Vandita. O mother, Samam, upon me, Patu. Patu means to fall upon or to look down upon, to come down upon. In Tamil we say Manamirangi. Patu means Patane is to fall. Patu is to come down. Avalokitam. The devas, usually you see all the gods of the gods, no? There'll be samadrishti like that. So, to look down. Don't go on looking straight, mother. Look down at us. Manamirangi. Show your compassion downwards. Samam Patu Saraswati Bhagavati. The prayer is very beautiful. It doesn't ask for anything. It says, Nishesha Jadyapaha. Nishesha means adiyod, that is with the very roots, with the very base. Remove all the laziness. Jadya means jadam, like the inertia. You know, when we get up from the bed, we sit on the bed for a while. Or when we sit on the couch, we cannot get up from there. And then we cannot move fast and do things quickly. That inertia, that lethargy, that laziness that prevents the active, sharp intellect from functioning, the dullness, the jadya means the dull-wittedness, the laziness, the foggy brain. Remove that foggy brain from its root. Don't even what is that? With the root of my laziness comes from the ego. So from the very root, you pull it out. I get reminded of a beautiful anecdote that Swami Yogananda mentions when he talks about St. Francis of Assisi. St. Francis of Assisi did a lot of hard work. He built the temple of God, and it was hard labor. Lifting stones, carrying it, and building this temple. And he used to call his physical body brother donkey because of its inert nature, its lazy nature, and apde mandama, it will stand in what donkeys won't move. So he referred to his physical body. That means the total non-identification with the body was the saint. The saint never associated himself. He treated his body as a beast of burden, burdenous to the soul on the one hand. So he viewed the body as brother donkey. So he said, brother donkey and myself. He said he will cajole, he will whip brother donkey. Come on, move, carry the stones, carry them to build the temple of God. And then he says so nicely, St. Francis used to sing the name of God, and brother donkey used to clap along. He said, brother donkey used to clap along. And then he said, one day, Francis saw the light of God in the cave. And God was so kind. God let brother donkey see the light as well. Which means, like in Tamil we say, Kundoda Kailayam, that means with the body he attained samadhi. Even the body dissolved into the consciousness of the divine, not just the soul consciousness. Even the physicality dissolved into this vision of the Lord. So that Jadya, which all saints of all religions refer to the physical body as a mass of, because it was born of tamas, it was born of a physical tamasic union of a man and woman. From the rajasic activity it was born. So it carries tamo guna. The physical body carries tamo guna. It carries a inert quality. So that's why we go through these periods of fasting, where we deny it. We affirm the spirit. that we are sustained by spirit in periods of fasting. And the body becomes very light, and then we try to rise above body consciousness in periods of fasting in all religions. So that beautiful Nishesha Jadyapaha, such a lovely description of Saraswati with all the imagery of white images, and then the worship of all the gods, and then he says, Mother, with its very root, Nishesha, Adioda, we say in Tamil, Adioda, Adithidu, says, reduce my inertia. Ya kundendu tushara hara dhavala, ya shubhra vastravrita, ya veena varadanda manditakara, ya shveta padmasana, ya brahmachyuta shankara prabhutibhir devai sada vandita, samam patu saraswati bhagavati, nishesha jadhyapaha. It's a lovely shloka on Saraswati, and this is usually taught to children. And another important shloka which I would like to share with you, which is very significant to all of us, is the simple shloka which we recite. Saraswati namastubhyam varade kamarupini vidyarambam karishyami siddhir bhavatu me sada. Saraswati namastubhyam. O Divine Mother Saraswati, I bow to you. Saraswati namastubhyam varade. Varade means she is the granter of all boons. She grants the boons that you ask her. Whatever you ask, the Divine Mother immediately gives. Sarvartha sadike. Sarvartha sadike means everything that we want to achieve, she makes that possible. But there are some conditions in that making them possible. There is Purusha Prayatnam, there is an effort on our part, that is the push, the Purushartha of us pushing our individual, like we want to pass an exam, we just cannot just sit there and wait for it to descend unless you're a Yogananda or some great saint. But otherwise, we have to exert the willpower which was God given. That is Purushartha. That is one. Then Kala Niyati. We have the other thing which is to do with the timing. This beautiful, the beautiful Abhayar has given a beautiful verse on time. Aduthu muyandralum aagum naalandri edutha karumangalaha vasanta kalamandri uyar marangalellam pada. However much you try and do again and again and again, until the time is right, certain things would not fructify. Just like however much you pour water on a plant, only in the springtime will those tall trees, however much you try to do your effort, only in springtime will it bear fruit. But that doesn't mean you do not water the plant daily. It does not mean that you do not cease in doing your effort. So that Purushartha, or the individual willpower, Kala Niyati, and Deva Anugraha. Sometimes the timing may be right, but God's grace may not be there. Sometimes God will hasten the timing process also, because she's the runner of the show. She runs the show. So she's Karma Phalaprada, Karunamrita Sagara. The purpose of prayer she fulfills, where sometimes doctors have given up on a case, miraculously that by prayer the person can get up and be alive, go to the brink of death, but prayer can resurrect some people. So that Deva Anugraha, so these three things fulfill the idea of Varade. She gives. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kama Rupini. Kama Rupini, we think Kama is lust. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, Matsaryam. But Kama, I told you, has the other shade. The entire spectrum is there, from lust to divine love. The desire, Kama. Whatever we desire something because it is beautiful. We will never desire things that are ugly or horrible to us. Something that is, we always desire that which is beautiful. So beauty is part of desire. Desire is part of beauty. Surpanaka had Kama for Rama, and Sita also had love, but one is gross in its grotesque in its form and crude. But Sita's love is Uttama. It is subtle, it is contained, it is divine, it is demure, it is modest, it is coy. That love is in the Uttama state, and this is the Adama state. So it is Kama only, but in a range. And the object of Kama is Lord Rama. One is rough and crude, one is subtle and divine. And then that Kama will lose the tags of Kama and become Prema, which is devoid of even a physical gratification. When the gopis, they embraced Lord Krishna, they ran to Vrindavan and they all hugged him. Vipula pulaka bhuja pallava valayita. Like a veshti. Gopastri pariveshtito. The little boy, 10-year-old Krishna, was wrapped up with 1,000 ladies, Ayiram Gopihat. And they embrace him passionately, almost they scratched him. It sounds very funny and strange. Then he stopped them all. And then he played a Leela. He multiplied himself into 1,000 Krishnas. Each gopi had one Krishna. At that moment, the gopis, they realized that he is not just a boy. The Kama was transformed into Prema. That Prema is devoid of any physical gratification of any sort. It is pure love in its purest form. We can't conceive of that because we do not know that state. That divine bhakti coagulated with desire and beauty. So Kama, the object of Kama and the desire are always, and the bliss that goes with it, the desire, the bliss, the beauty are all coagulated into one whole called Kama. Kama Rupini. Varade Kama Rupini means she is so beautiful, she is so attractive that you look at her, you cannot take your eyes off that beauty. You cannot blink. The Devas don't blink. They are just like in awe. And there are two Gandharvas. We know, those who know the Trishadi, they stand on either side of the Lalita Parameshwari. They go, ah, and ooh, ha ha, hoo hoo, mukhastutyai namah. She's so beautiful. There is no other way to express that state of beauty. That Kama Rupini, she's so beautiful that there is no physical words in this world that can describe such a blissful state of beauty. Varade Kamarupini. Vidyarambam Karishyami. May you perform the act of learning. Every day we are learning. So every day we say this Vidyarambam. It's not a Vidyarambam Puja day, like on Vijayadashmi day alone, we recite this mantra and then we forget about Saraswati. Every day, every day a doctor is meeting a new patient, a new combination. Every day I'm teaching a different student, every day the same student, every day I'm trying to tell the student in different creative ways. I'm learning how to tell and teach. The student is learning how to receive, and so the whole process of learning is continually happening every minute of our lives, in every situation. That is, the Vidyarambam is taking place in a consecutive points in the timeline of life. May you empower that process of learning, Vidyarambam Karishyami, to confer the achievement of that lesson. Then you give the Siddhi. The Siddhi means the You learn algebra, you struggle to do the calculus problems. And then before the exam, you finally got it. Like just like 1 month, you got the hang of it and you got the siddhi. You got the, and now calculus is very easy for me. I can do it. Saraswati, that Saraswatyam inside you, the Divine Mother has made that calculus a easy process of absorption. And you have gained the skill. The surgeon has gained the skill of suturing in a very fast and very, in that quick time before the, so many variables are happening in the operation theater with the anesthetics, with pressure, heart rate, this one, everything. And in that short span here, this surgery has to be done like this. The Swara Kalpana of the musician has to finish in 2 matras in the perfection of that, that is a siddhi, the achievement. The dancer has to finish this turn, do a tirmanam, like this. Like this. Everybody, the skill of doing certain things in the time lapse, in that the actor has to deliver that dialogue in the punch of the rhythm of that whole scene. That is the siddhi. As we learn, the process of learning Vidyarambam is happening, and then the process Karishyami. Karishyami is to perform. May you perform the whole act, support my whole act of learning, and Siddhir Bhavatu me. You are also the one who gives the achievement. Sada, always. So that process of learning to be smooth, to be flawless, the mantra is the stotram. It's not a mantra, it's a shloka. It is addressed to the Divine Mother. See how beautiful that shloka is. Saraswati namastubhyam varade kamarupini. Vidyarambam. Saraswati namastubhyam varade kamarupini. You're the beautiful one. Kamarupini is also the one who is the form of all desires. If I have a desire, I want to learn this. That desire also is the Divine Mother. She is Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Kamarupena Samstita. She is the desire in all beings. That desire is the one that propels us to move and act in this world. If we didn't have any desire, we'll die. Because desire is the thing that is holding us. So the whole world plays happening because of the power of desire in everybody. So that is Varade Kamarupini. Vidyarambam Karishyami, O Divine Mother, you are the one who ignites and performs the act, the cognition, the idea of learning, understanding, absorbing, internalizing, practicing, achieving. Siddhir Bhavatu me sada. That whole beautiful cycle happens. And that is a beautiful prayer, which applies to everybody. We sometimes think the Vidyarambam Shlokam is just for children who are going to start their Vidyarambam or Vijayadashmi day. But no, every time we open the book to study for children, every time we step into our workplace, every time we step into our home, that is it. And the Saraswati, I like to share a beautiful, this is to digress a little bit, but I like to share a beautiful story about Saraswati, which happened just in the beginning of the last century. This is a real story. I think Kalpana, who's there, Buma's sister, she will know, she may know this story. It's to do with Ustad Usman Khan and his grandfather, Abdul Karim Khan. They're Muslims, but of course they are all the lineage of sitarists. And because of the stringed instrument, they're very, very devoted to Saraswati. Though they are Muslims, I mean, the brand of Muslims in India are different from the rest of the world. It is very liberal, and they don't just confine. I mean, nobody thinks of Saraswati as a Hindu goddess or a, she's part of India. If you're Indian, she's part of you, whether you're Muslim or Christian or whatever you are, she's part of life. I mean, Hinduism is a way of life. It is not just the worship in a temple. It is a way of thinking. So it's very devoted to Saraswati. And Abdul Karim Khan was also the Samasthana Vidwan in Mysore. They lived in Dharwad, which is north of Karnataka, and belonging to a lineage of sitarists. And he also adorned the Mysore court with great Veena Seshanna. Now, in the ancient tradition of musicians, especially in North India, more so than in South India, or bordering, like Dharwad is bordering with Maharashtra. And in those areas, musicians treat the practice of music as sadhana, like a spiritual practice. Of course, that is the true spirit of dance and music practice. Sadhana means it is a path to realization of God, but it's also, as I said, as the Veena is in a diagonal, it is entertainment on the one side, but on another deeper level, it is Nadopasana, which is practice. So in the year, there is what is known as the Chaturmasya, the 4 rainy months. The rains start to pour on the day of Guru Purnima, that is in the middle of July. It will start right up to Deepavali. On Deepavali will end the 4 months of July, August, September, October, like this. It will go for 4 months, which is called the sacred 4 months of the rainy season. In the rainy season, the Chaturmasya, what happens is sannyasis will not move anywhere. They will retire into caves, or they will retire into ashrams. They will stay in one place. As parivrajakas or wandering mendicants, they will stop going from house to beg. They will totally rely on providence they will totally rely on God's providence. Whatever food comes to them, comes to them. If the food doesn't come, they won't eat. It's like that for Chaturmasya, very sacred. They go into deep sadhana. So in North India, it is customary that rich Gujarati merchants and rich merchants would meticulously save their money, and then when the Chaturmasya starts, they would go and seek out sannyasis in caves, in ashrams, go and provide provisions in their ashrams so that they will be taken care of. Like this, the society, the cultural, spiritual, cultural background knows of this sort of thing, and so they go and provide. Similarly, musicians also, like Abdul Karim Khan, the Chaturmasya starts and they don't go for programs anymore. They don't perform because of the rains, of course, and people also won't come. And so they go into, like the sannyasis go into deep sadhana, the musicians also will go into deep practice. Actually, Swami Shivananda makes a beautiful analogy with the climatic conditions and the human. As I told you on the very first day, how Navaratri sits on the equinox, the spring equinox, and the autumnal equinox, which we are going through right now. And so these periods of time are very suitable for deep sadhana. So people fast, if you go into a lot of prayer, a lot of japa, a lot of practice, a lot of whatever, the nature, the constellations of the stars, the earth, the planet, everything is very conducive. It supports and it accentuates your practice. So like that, the Chaturmasya, the 4 months, is a very potent period of intense practice. So he makes a beautiful analogy, Swami Shivananda. He says, in the summer months that precede, that is from February, March, April, May, you know, India, how you can just wilt. Actually, it's March, April, May, June. It'll be really sweltering heat, you know, like in South India, we have what is known as a Katri Vehil. But what happens in that heat? The water from the earth starts to evaporate into layers and layers and layers and layers right into the height of the skies. And they gather and gather and gather and gather. And then for the 4 months, the Chaturmasya that starts in Guru Purnima, they start to rain layer by layer by layer by layer by layer like this, right up to Deepavali. And then we have, in Tamil Nadu, we say Adamalai. Adamalai means very hujan labat in Malay. There is very strong rains. And then with that it ends. Then the Markali, the Panikalam will start. So he says the evaporation of water is the absorption of the teachings of the Guru as the disciple sannyasis or spiritual sadhakas. In that summer months, they will be listening to their Guru's teachings. They'll be wandering from place to place, gathering food and listening to the teachings. And then when come Guru Purnima to Deepavali, they will sit in one place and they will start to systematically put into practice, like the rain coming down. They will put into practice what they have absorbed. They will practicalize. So it's a period of intense practice. So in Abdul Karim's ancestral house, there was an outhouse, like a small little room outside the main house. And that room was kept for sadhana. Though they are Muslims, in that room, there's nothing in that room. In that room, there was a shelf. And on that shelf, there is a picture of Saraswati only. And there is one mat. So Abdul Karim Khan, the great sitarist, he opens the door in the beginning of the Chaturmasya and he spreads out the mat and he takes his sitar and starts to practice. Practice means not 1 hour. It is 5 to 6 hours of continual practice like this. You know, like how it's raining outside, the music is raining inside. And in that period, there is no form of earning, right? Because there's no concerts, there's no money, there is no income coming in. There's no income coming in. So one day he was practicing like this, and in the courtyard outside that house, some children were playing. Little boys and girls were playing. And suddenly, one little cute, very fair, cute little boy came running, and he sat at the door of the sadhana room and was looking at Abdul Karim Khan practicing. He was just sitting outside the door. He did not come inside. And he was practicing for the whole period. He was practicing. That boy was seated there. He did not come in. He just sat. Then the boy ran away. And then this phenomena took place. As he rolled his mat, he saw under the mat, there was a 100-rupee note. Oh, where did this come from? So he took it and he saw the Saraswati in the shelf and he just put it there and he wondered, what is a strange phenomena? How did this money come here? Nobody comes into this room. This room is lock and key. Then he locked the room again and he went back to his home. The next day again he came and again he practiced like this. And the little boy was playing there. He came and sat outside. He thought, Abdul Karim thought some boy is just sitting there. The boy was watching this man play like this. The whole sadhana is dedicated to the Saraswati as a worship to the Saraswati. Though they are Muslims, it really doesn't matter. Same thing happened the second day. The little boy ran away. After a while, then he just rolled the mat and he saw another 100-rupee note. So he took it and said, what a strange. That is a lot of money in those days. 100 rupees would be like something like 3,000 ringgit today, that time. So he took it and he put it at the Saraswati's picture and said, Ma, I don't know what is this. He didn't. Third day, the same thing happened. It was too much for him. So the money was there. So in the outskirts of that village that he was from, there was a mystic, a Muslim mystic, a fakir. So he decided to go and, because that fakir was a clairvoyant, you know, they could use a bowl of water and recite the Quranic verses, and from the Quranic verses, they would see into the water and certain things would be revealed. So he went there and said, sir, you know, like this has happened and I don't know how to explain this. It's a lot of money. It's 300 rupees, you know, it's like a lot of money. Can you please tell me with your clairvoyance what this is about? So that holy man went into a meditative state and he recited some Quranic verses, some like mantras like that. And then he looked into the water and he asked Abdul Karim, was there a little boy that sat outside your door? And he said, yes, sir, I noticed a cute boy was sitting there, but he was sitting outside only. He did not come inside, he was outside. Yeah. That boy is from the Gandharva Loka. This money has sent to you by the celestials, the angels of the Gandharva Loka. They have noticed your sincerity to Saraswati in your practice. Whether there was a concert or no concert, you were sincerely practicing so hard that they have provided you 300 rupees. Tomorrow that boy would not come and this phenomena would not happen. And you have been directed to me by them They are telling to keep this money safely for the next 3 months because you would not have income and it will be enough for you to provide for your family and children. He was flabbergasted. The sincerity to Saraswati, the dance, the music is not as a form of merely entertainment, or we practice for a program, or we practice for whatever. It was totally dedicated to Saraswati as a worship, as an act of offering. And when the sincerity of that sadhana, when you love your God with all your heart and soul, all things shall be added unto you, the first commandment. So Usmanji will always say, Saraswati will catch Lakshmi by the ear and say, hey, see, my son is sincerely working. You better provide for him. But if you run after the Lakshmi, she will throw some small trinkets like this and some small glitter, and you'll catch them and you will forget about practicing. And before you know it, you'll lose whatever little siddhi you had. So that is the power of the sadhana of Saraswati. The mother of wisdom, the mother of knowledge. If your pursuit of knowledge is sincere, and it is like this, that Vidvat will be supported with the Yashas and Shri, that Lakshmi Karam, she will, you don't have to seek, you do not have to go out to ask for concerts or soap some organizers or ask somebody for a grant or ask somebody for a donation. Your focus is like this. Those grants, everything the Divine Mother will provide to you like this, because your total focus is on, it doesn't just apply to music. It applies to every field of knowledge. If you are a surgeon, then you are in that fullness. If you are a musician, if you are a scientist, your attack is the subject. The money and such things, the Saraswati, she will catch her Lakshmi by the ear and provide for you. And that is a simple law of the Saraswatyam. The simple law. There are certain natural laws in this universe. Like gravity is a natural law. When you drop something, it falls. Sun rays cause photosynthesis. Prayer causes certain results. Practice causes a whole range of Saraswatyam. So there are certain natural laws of the universe that happen. And the rishis were great scientists in knowing about the subtle laws that govern this universe. And Saraswati is one such beautiful natural law of learning. The learning, the practice, the sincerity, the focus, the attitude of surrender, the attitude of succumbing to that source and attack with all force, with no laziness, Nishesha Jadyapaha, without the inertia, ever fresh energy. That Saraswati Namastubhyam, she continues to guide Varade. She provides by the Varam, she provides for those who are sincerely pursuing her. So that is the beautiful Saraswati. I wanted to share this beautiful story with you because this story has always inspired me and held me in good stead, because it puts into perspective not just the arts, but a lot of things that we study. Sometimes a child would tell its parent, I want to study geophysics, or I want to study some fashion designing, and the parent would say, oh my God, what are you going to earn out of that? How are you going to sustain yourself? I want to learn some weird, nowadays there are so many small subjects in the university which you can't even think about. I have a cousin who's doing material engineering, that is from fabric to wood to all sorts of engineering in London. I think, what kind of job is he going to get in material engineering? I mean, at the end of a degree course, we see the carrot dangling of what is that in there for me. But the attitude of attack that knowledge with all sincerity like this, without looking right or left, then you, without your knowledge, you become an expert in that field, because you have been that siddhi, you have got a great siddhi in that field of knowledge, that people will seek you, money will seek you, not locally. There is a beautiful dictum in Sanskrit. Swadesho pujyate raja, vidvat sarvatra pujyate. A king is worshipped only in his country, his own country. But vidvat, knowledge, in the circles, they will know. In Australia, there is this girl, she's very good at this material engineering. The network of people in that group will know the best among them. Internationally, that person will be known beyond borders of country. So that vidvat sarvatra pujyate, vidvat, the expertise is worshipped not just by your own country, but worldwide it will be known. That is the beauty of Saraswati. That is the beauty of the vidvat that comes from Saraswatyam, the attack of knowledge, the field of knowledge. How did Abdul Kalam study in one small village in Rameshwaram? It doesn't matter where you are. It's a government school he went to. And people send their children to private schools and that and this and everything, and still they don't make the name that he has made. So that yashas, that kirti comes from Lakshmi, which comes from Vidvat, which is Saraswati. So these are certain beautiful natural laws that we study by the worship of Saraswati. And I pray that sincerity would all burn in our hearts when we attack whatever field of knowledge that we are in, and to attack it with totality, total focus, total commitment, total love and passion for that thing. And that will drive us to heights, for which we pray to her. Nishesha Jadyapaha Mata Samam Patu Saraswati. You have to help us. The whole process of Vidyarambham, very basis of that, the attack, the achievement. Sarvakartrye Namaha, Sarvabhartrye Namaha, Sarvahantrye Namaha, Sanatanye Namaha. Sarvakartrye, she's the performer. She's the performer of the action. She's the sustainer of the action. She dissolves the action. She is the real karta. She's the doer. Sarvakartriye. So to her we bow and we surrender and we hold on to her in the bhavana of a baby monkey holding its mother, like Markata Nyaya, they say, like a baby monkey grasps its mother. We hold on to the Divine Mother tight, because if the monkey leaves its mother, that in the Markata Nyaya, the child will be ostracized. So we have to cling on to her, then we will become as adept as her. Then like a baby kitten, Marjala Nyaya, when the mother carries the baby kitten and places it in a fireplace, or places it in a rubbish dump, or places it on top of a fridge, or places it under a table or under a cupboard, wherever the mother will carry the baby kitten and place it, the kitten is happily playing. So wherever God places us in this life, the Divine Mother is placing us in different situations. Ours is to be cheerful and to do that work which she has given us so beautifully, and to surrender to her and say, Amma, you know what is best. You are doing the best. And sometimes, as Yogananda says, the Divine Mother will kick you, but you just grab on to the helm of a sari, the helm of her dress, and she will take you through the turbulence of birth and death, but you hold on tight to her sari, like a baby monkey is holding on to the mother monkey. Like that, we hold on to her, and in that holding on, we will be open to the realm of true life of spirit. So with that, I'd like to end my session today on Saraswati. Ya kundendu dusharahara davala, ya shubhravaskravrita, ya veena varadanda manditakara, ya shveta padmasana, ya brahmachyuta shankara prabhutivir, devai sada pujita, samam patu Saraswati bhagavati nishesha jadhyapaha. Saraswati namastubhyam varade kamarupini vidyarambam karishyami siddhir bhavatu me sada. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Do you have any questions that you like to just quickly ask me? I'll be happy to see what we could do. Today, our numbers have reduced as the days have gone. Yeah, would you like to ask anything, or it's okay we stop there? I think we'll stop over there today and we'll close there. And thank you very much. And tomorrow is the last day. So I'm not having a session on Friday, Vijayadashmi day, because we have an event at the Temple of Fine Arts. Now we are slowly opening up. So because of that, I can't come. And so I will take leave of everybody tomorrow. So tomorrow is the last day, and wishing you all a very beautiful Saraswati Puja and Ayudha Puja. Hari Om. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.